Hi everyone, my name is Uriel Mesa and I am with KTSLifeCoaching.com. I'm going to share with you a little bit of my own experience of when I went through my journey of how to accept myself and how to go through self-love. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you or share with you a tip that I had learned early on when I first started this process. So, in the beginning, when I first went through this, I started to learn that when you're kind of an a-hole and you're always on the defense and you're always kind of very ready for battle, you're not in the state of self-love. And so once I learned that, I started to realize I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person who's kind of a jerk, who just kind of radiates that insecurity, but they think like I did. I thought that I was the most secure person in the world, but it's kind of like, think of it this way. It's kind of like when you know that you are trying to hide the fact that you're gay, or okay, let me erase that. It's when you're not even sure if you're gay, but when you eventually come out and everyone you come out to, everyone says, yeah, we kind of knew. That's what happened to me when I started to learn about self-love. I thought I was the most confident person ever. And then I started to realize that no, a lot of people saw me differently. They saw me as somebody who was insecure. And as one person said to me, he said, you were painfully insecure. Did not know it. I thought I hit it pretty well. Anyway, I did not want to be that person anymore. So I went through this, I don't want to say a program, but it's more like I read several books on it. And some of the techniques I came up with are ones that I'm going to share with you at the end of this video. So once I figured out that's what I was doing, I said to myself, so what is it you want to be? What I wanted to be is that secure person who is not triggered so easily by situations from people, from events around them all the time. I just wanted to be okay in my own skin and to be able to just let things just kind of, brush off your shoulders and just be the kind of guy that just loves himself and loves life. I didn't know what that was like. To me, I thought, growing up in a very strict religious background, I thought that to love yourself was actually a form of being arrogant, that if you are a lover of God, then you needed to be more humble and you don't want to love yourself. You want to love others first before you love yourself. But I realize, now that it's backwards. In order for you to love yourself, in order for others to love you, you have to first love yourself. Imagine what would it be like if, okay, I'm getting a little bit off subject here. So what I have observed is the people who love themselves the most seem to attract others who love being around them as well. And for me, that was the aha moment I started to realize. The people who did not love themselves attracted other people who did not love themselves either. And it seemed like they'd have these short, volatile relationships that would eventually crash and burn. The people who love themselves are the people that attracted people who are genuine and who, love being around themselves and love being around others that love themselves as well. So again, I started to ask myself, so what is it you want more than anything? And for me, self-acceptance, freedom, just to be able to just go through life and enjoy the process, no matter what happens, not be triggered by people, and to attract others who are loving, strong people. That's what I wanted more than anything. So once I went through this whole process, it was kind of a visceral change. the only way I can describe it is I started to look at my environment and what it was reflecting back to me. So prior to me going through this process, a lot of the people I surrounded myself were like, and it's no offense to any friends I've had in the past, but it was a little destructive, toxic at times, and volatile, and it just wasn't very healthy. Once I had learned to let go of the person that I thought I once was and started to step into the person I wanted to be, and then go into the process of learning, how to love myself, I started to notice that things were changing. The friends that I had before slowly went away. I didn't have to make any big proclamation, however you say that word, and say I'm not going to be around you anymore. I just noticed they just kind of disappeared. And the people that were appearing are people who are very genuine, very loving, very caring, who exercise healthy boundaries. They're very effective communicators. And I thought, that's what I want to be. But I didn't realize that I had already stepped into that, and that's why I was attracting these people. So what you focus on, this little side note, what you focus on, you're going to get more of. And so I was focusing on wanting to be around people like that, and I got more of that. So I may have gotten a little bit off subject here, but I'm just going to go ahead and share with you the tip that I had learned. So when I first started this process, what I had learned is that you need to take inventory of the things that you love the most about yourself. And this is no joke. When I first started this process, I literally came up with 3 things. And I couldn't go beyond that because I didn't realize just how much I disliked myself. Evidence of this was I had a roommate, and once they moved out, I was like a lost puppy. I could not be around myself. I had to get out of my house. I had to be around people, even if they're strangers. I had to just get out. That was the evidence for me that I didn't like my own company. So I'm digressing a little bit. So again, I started to learn to take my own inventory. I did this several times a day, where I'd try to think of more things about myself that I loved about myself. Eventually, it got to about 7 or 8. After a couple weeks, I got to over 10. Once I realized that this process was working, was when I got to 30, 40, 50 things that I loved about myself. Now, I was jotting everything down on pen and paper. And I don't care if you have to jot this down on the dirt, the sand, paper, whatever. Jot it down. Don't put it in your phone, but I want you to actually physically write it out. It makes a big difference when you're actually sitting there looking at the words and you're writing it all out. Make a list of what it is you love about yourself. Once I got to the point where the things that I hated about myself became the things that I loved about myself, that's when I realized I crossed that threshold. And I felt like a whole different person. That's how the process all started. So that is the one thing that I would recommend for you. Take your inventory. Write it out. See what comes up. Do this multiple times a day until you get to the things that you hated about yourself that now you love about yourself. Okay? All right. Any comments? DM me if you want to. I'd love to hear from you. And again, my name is Uriel Mesa with KTSLifeCoaching.com. Thank you.